In this video, we're going to go through on Tong School 2024 end of year examination, Primary 5 Mathematics, Paper 1. So let's get started on the first question, question 1. Which of the following is 46,050 in numerals? So let's break it down. So 46,000 over here, right? Which is basically, in this case, 46. And then you have 1,000. So 1, 2, 3 zeros. That's what you see over here. Then you have 50 in this case. So if you were to combine these two, 46 and 50 together, right? Basically like this, and then plus 50. Okay. So what will you get? The answer 2. So in this case, for this, you should put 50 at the bottom over here, and then the 46 and the rest at the other side. That's what you see over here. So in this case, right? So what will this be? This will be essentially look something like this, right? Which is 46,050 in this case over here. Okay, so that's about it. So now let's see if we can get the answer. That's the same as what we see. So it should be number 2 in this case over here. All right, that's it. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question number 2. So a number becomes 70,000 when rounded to the nearest thousand. So which one of the following could the number be? So essentially, we have a number with the nearest thousand that becomes 70,000. So let's look at each, I will call these numbers. So over here, we have 69,499. Okay, so in this case, actually, I'll just put like the number itself, right? 69,499. So we want to round it to the nearest thousand. So let me make this a little bit bigger. So the nearest thousand is basically this number over here. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to look at the number before the thousand. Okay, and that is number 4. So in this case is number 4 over here, right? Uh, 4 is smaller than 5 or more, right? 4 is not, okay, 4 is smaller, or 4 is not 5 or more. So in this case, this will be an X. Okay, so this will eventually become, right, curly brackets, 69,000, right? Oops, 69,000 in this case. So with that said, this is not the right answer. Bam. Okay, so we will cancel this again. Okay, all right. So for this, is not the right answer. Let's move on to the next number. We have 69,978. So we're gonna do the same, right? So 69,978. Okay, 69,978. 78. Okay, so then what will this be? So for 9,000, it will look something like this. Okay, make sure that's not the read. And then after that, we will see the number before the 9. So the 9 over here is actually, whoops, 9 is 5 or more, right? So in this case, so the answer is not 69,000 over here. So 9 is 5 or more. So that means this will have a plus 1. Okay. So with that said, we will plus 1 to the 9. That means this will give us 70,000 as well. Okay. And there you go. So this over here will actually will actually will actually be the correct answer. So I'm gonna put a tick over here. So let's double confirm for the rest of the numbers as what you see over here. Okay, so the next number, 70,893. Okay, so I'm gonna do the same as what we see over here, which is this. Okay, so 7,000. So I'm gonna remove this, or actually copy this. Okay, so 7,893. So 893. So same thing, we will just highlight the number 0. Okay, but this time we need to see at the number 8 over here. So is 8 5 or more to round up? So 8 is 5 or more to round up as well. Okay, so 8 is 5, that means we will round up in this case over here. Okay, but since we plus 1 to the thousands place, this will become 71,000, which is not what we want. So same thing as what we see over here. And all right, so the last one, so I'm gonna just duplicate this. Okay, the last one, 71,000, and let's do this 71,000 over here. Okay, so let's see if this is correct, right? So 71,276. So 71,267. Not, yeah, whatever that number is. Okay, so 71,267. Okay, so we look at 1, and then let's put a rectangle at 2. So you could see that 1 is already not a, well, 1 is, yeah. So in this case, it's 71,000, whether you round up or round down. So it starts with 71,000. So that means in this case over here, this is also wrong. Okay, so I'm gonna copy this and paste this over here. That's what I see over here. Okay, so that means the answer to this is option number 2. Oops. Right, option number 2 is correct. Okay, so I'm gonna put rectangle. Let's move on to the next question. Question number 3. All right, so which of the following has the same value as 2/3 times 4? Okay, so in this case, we want to know which one is 2/3 times 4. Okay, so let's go to option number 1. So option number 1, if you were to simplify it, okay, so it will be, let me put it medium, 1 over 3, okay, and then this will be multiplied by 2. So let me make this, whoops. All right, so it will look something like this, and 1 times 2 over 3 will become 2 over 3 in this case over here. Right, so is this the same as 2 over 3 times 4? So if we were to simplify this, right, okay, this will equal to not 1 times 2 over 3, but in this case, it's 2 times 4 over 3. Okay, and the final answer to this will then be 8 over 3. Right, so in this case, first answer is not correct. So I'm going to put a red cross over here. Okay, let's move on to question number 2. So question number 2 says here 2 times 4, 3 times 4 for both numerator and denominator. So if I were to, just put this here, and this will in the end give us, what do you think will give us? So 2 times 4 will give us 8, and 3 times 4 is equal to 12. So in this case, this is wrong as well. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. Okay, so no, next option, not next question. Okay, so over here, 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. So if I were to, break it down something like this, right? And then it will actually look something like this, right? 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Okay, and then after that you have 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. Okay, obviously I think this is not the correct answer because you have 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. So 4 times 4 lah, right? Let's break it down even more. Okay, so essentially, whoops. Okay, right, so this will become, so let me just copy this and paste this. Easier way is just to put this as 4 times 4 and then this is 9 times 9. Okay, So 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, so 9 times 9 in this case. So what will be the answer? The answer to this is, right, 16 over 81. Okay, 16 over 81. So if I were to simplify 16 over 81, okay, so I can't really simplify, right? Because multiple of 9, multiple of 2, yeah, you can't really simplify it. So this is also wrong in this case over here. Okay, sad life. All right, so last one, 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 out of 3. So it's the same as everything. Okay, not like this, but right, it is actually just plus, right? Plus, plus, and then plus. Since plus don't change the denominator, it will just be 3. So 2 plus 2 plus 2 is equal to 8. Okay, so I'll copy this. So this will be 8 out of 3. Okay, so I'm just gonna copy this because this is the correct answer. Okay, in this case, this is the correct answer. Toot toot. All right. Okay, so yep, that's about it. So the correct answer to this is option number 4. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Question number 4. Okay, so which of the following is equal to 4, 5 out of 7? So if I were to make this a bit bigger, so you have 4, and then you have 5 out of 7. Okay. So now how do we make this? Basically, we want to make this into a mixed number, right? So I'm going to write this down. What is this? No, we're not going to make this into a mixed number, but basically we're going to make the mixed number to improper fraction, right? So 4, 5 out of 7 over here, basically, if you remember, what you're going to do is you're going to multiply 4 with 7. Okay, in this case over here, right? So let me just remove this. Let's have an arrow. 4 times 7. Okay, so do you multiply? And then with 7 over here. Okay, so can I make this? Okay, this will be the easiest. And then I have another arrow with 7 to plus 5 in this case over here. Okay, so this will be equal to, then I'm just going to show you what the numerator will be. 4 times 5 plus 4 times 7 plus 5. Okay, so oops. Okay, 4 times 7 plus 5. So in this case over here, this will then become, so I'm going to copy this again and paste it over here. This will become 28 plus 5, and then I will give the final answer, which is in this case 33. Okay, so the final answer 33, and where's 33? 33 is at option 3, and that's the correct answer in this case. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Question number 5. So what is the value of 40 plus 4 out of 10 plus 4 out of 100? Okay, so in this case, right, so this will equal to be 40 plus, so what's 4 out of 10? Which is 0.4, and then plus 4 out of 100 is 0.04. So how will this look like in this case over here? So plus, okay, so if I were to do this over here, so I'll have 40. Let me make this like this. Okay, 40 plus this and this. Okay, all will look something like this. Let me have remove the space here as well. So essentially, okay, so actually let's make it like this, right? So 40 pop like this, right? So you see it's pretty clear how we can do this, right? So we will then put the answer. So in this case it will be 40.44. So let me put this here, something like this, right? So I'll put a rectangle, so you have the 0, put it small, something like this, and then you have the 40, the 4 as well as what you see over here. Let me just put it like this. Okay, so it makes it a little bit clearer on how to do this. So in this case, let me also, okay, something like this, right? So in this case, it's pretty much hopefully straightforward. So the answer to this will be 40 point, not 50, 40.44. So the answer to this is option number 2 for question number 5. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Question number 6 over here. All right. So for question number 6, arrange the following from the heaviest to the lightest. You have 7.25 kg, 7 kg, 55 grams, and 7 1/3 grams. Okay. So in this case, what would be the easiest way to do this, right? So in essence, I think I would say we can make everything into a decimal place, right? So for 7.25 is 7.25, 7 kg, 55 grams. So how many is that in uh, kilograms, right? So 7 kg, 55 grams. Okay. So since we know that 1000 kilograms is equal to 1000 grams is equal to 1 kilogram. Okay, so 1 gram is equal to 1 divided by 1000. Okay, and then we just make this into a bracket. Okay, kilogram. And then what about 55 grams? It's equal to 55 and then divide by 1000. Okay, and what would this become? So you have three zeros over here. So we move our decimal point from three places, 1, 2, and 3. So 0.05. So in this case, it will be 0.055 in this case over here. So for 7 kilograms is equal to 7 plus, okay, 0.05, and this will become 7.055 kilograms. Okay, so we have that. Okay, so we know that 7 kg 55 grams is the same as 7.055 grams. Okay, so what about 7 1/3? Okay, so okay, so for 7 1/3, right, 7, and then we have 1 over 3 kilograms. So how are we going to convert this? So I'm gonna put this in one rectangle. How are we going to convert 7 1/3 into kilograms? So basically 1/3 uh, kilograms. So 1 kilograms is equal to 1000 grams, or basically 1 times 1000. Okay, so 1/3 is basically 1/3 times 1000. Okay, so to just summarize, this will be around 333, right? 333 grams, okay, ish. Okay, so uh if you were to do the workings, it will roughly be this. Okay, so now with this 333 grams is equal to 333, and then we have divide by 1000 is equal to 0.333 kilograms, kg over here. So this is kg also. Right, so with this, that means 7 1/3 kilograms, right, will be equal to 7 plus 0.333 equal to 7.333 grams. Okay, kilograms. So 7.33. Okay, so the answer to this for 7 point, this will be 0.333 kilograms, kg. This will also be in kg. And since all of this is decimal place, now we convert this to 250. Okay, so why we round up? Okay, so I'll put a little explanation over here. Is we round up to 3 decimal place because we 7.055 is in 3 decimal place. Okay, right? So that's the reason why lah. Okay, so this 33 grams over here we round up is because 7.055 is in 3 decimal place in this case over here. Okay, that's why we put it like this. Okay, so I'm gonna put another rectangle here. Okay, so I think it's pretty straightforward on who is the heaviest. So the heaviest here is 7.33. This I'm gonna put here heaviest. Make it small. So this is the heaviest. And what's the lightest? 0.55. So this is the lightest. Okay, so I'm gonna put heaviest here, gonna put lightest over here. So heaviest is 7/1/3, lightest is 7 kg 55 gram. So the answer to this is number one in this case over here. Right? Okay, so that is for question number 6. Let's go to question number 7. Okay, so in the number line over here, okay, what is the mixed number represented by y? Okay, so in this case we have 2 to 3, right? So what we want is to get the number of gaps, right? So the number of gaps in between 2 and 3 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So this is 8, not 10. So let's write it down. Okay, so number of gaps is equal to 8, right? So that means uh, one gap distance, usually call that, is basically 2 minus 3, right? So in this case is 2 minus 3 or 3 minus 2, or you can, yeah lah, 3 minus 2, and then we divide it by 8 in this case over here, right? So this will essentially just become 1 over 8 lah, right? Because we have fractions over here. Okay, the gap distance is just 1 over 8 in this case over here, right? So that means in this case this will be 1 over 8. So now we know this is 1 over 8. Okay, then that means what is this? Midpoint. So the midpoint to this is actually 4 over 8, right? Okay, so 4 over 8. So that means for y, this will be 5 over 8. Okay, right? So in a way, midpoint, okay, is equal to, in this case, halfway, right? 4 over 8. So I'm just going to put it here, copy, and then paste it here. Okay, so in this case, this is 4 over 8. Okay, why 4 over 8 is because 1 over 8, we can just manually do 2 over 8, and then this is 3 over 8. Okay, makes sense, right? Okay, and the 4 and then 5 over 8. So the answer to this will be, y will be 2, 5 over 8, which is option number 4 in this case over here. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Question number 8. Okay, so Nora is facing the park after she made 225 turn in a clockwise direction. Which landmark was she facing at first? Okay, 225. So she was facing the park, right? So she was here. Okay, so what is 225? So basically, in this case, straight line is equal to 180 degrees, right? Oops, degrees. Okay, and then right angle is equal to 90 degrees as well. Okay, and then half of a right angle, oops, is equal to 90, and then divide by 2 is equal to 45 degrees, right? In this case, so in this case, one straight line, so 225 is equal to 180 plus 45 in this case, which is essentially a straight line. So wait, basically it's a straight line plus half of a right angle. Okay, so basically the opposite 25 degrees. Whoop de doopy. Okay, which is this. Right, so we will get the straight line first, which is swimming pool, right? And then after that, so this is the straight line. So okay, so 180 is the straight line over here, as what you see. So basically, she landed at a park, not park, and then 225, right? So it looks something like this. So in essence, you have the swimming pool, and then you have 180 degrees, and then facing towards the park. That's what you see over here, like this. Okay, so in this case, this is let me just copy this 180, right? Straight line. I call it straight line. So this 180, right? So let me move it like this, and then we are left with the 45. Okay, so in this case, let me put this as red line, and this is also red line. Okay, and then the half a right angle is this, right? So in this case, I'm gonna put this over here as green. This over here is 45 degrees. Okay, so this is 45 degrees in this case over here, right? Okay, so she eventually, let me have an arrow. What's my marker? So she turned 45, and then she turned another 180. Okay, so hopefully this makes sense in this case over here. Okay, and now I'm gonna put this in red. Okay, so the answer to this is not the cinema, but the school. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question number 9. So in the figure, EF and GH are straight lines. So let's do that. Okay, so EF, GH are straight lines. So I always want to highlight EF. Okay, and then also in this case, GH. Okay, so for this, we know that EOH is 134 and JOF is 63 degrees. So find G, O, and then J. Okay, so we know we first can actually find this. Let me get the green part here. So actually can find this, right? So what we can do is, this is, let me put in black. Okay, so angle EOG, okay, which is equal to 180 minus 134. This will give us 46 degrees, right? Okay, so we know EOG in this case over here will give us 46 degrees. I can copy this actually. Right, 46 degrees. Now we can calculate GOJ. So angle, right? GOJ is equal to 180, and then we minus 46 minus 63. Okay, let's make it like this. Okay, so 180 minus, so 46 minus 63 will be 109, 109. Okay, and 180 minus 109, this will be 70 degrees. Okay, in this case over here. So the answer to this is number 1, right, for question number 9. Okay, that's it. Let's move on to question number 10. What is the area of the triangle X, Y, and Z? Okay, so this whole angle. All right, so for this area of triangle is equal to half times base times height. Okay, so the base over here, okay, I'm going to put an arrow, right? The whole base is over here. Okay, this whole thing is the base, right? And then what's the height? Okay, the height is over here as well. So this will be the height. Height. Right, pretty straightforward. So we can have this. So half, right, times what's the base? 10 plus 4. 10 plus 4. And then what's the height? The height is 3. Okay, so we can move this here. So half times 14 times 3. So half times 14 is 7 times 3. This will then become 21 centimeter square. Right? And the answer to this is number 2 for question number 10. Pretty straightforward. Let's move on to the next question. Question 11. All right. So the sides of a triangle are the ratio 3, 4, and 5. The longest side of the triangle is 40 centimeter. So what's the shortest side in this case over here? Okay. So we have 3, 4, 5. So so the longest side in units is equal to 5. Okay. And we also know the longest side is 40 centimeter. So for this one is 5 units. Okay, so that means 5 units is equal to 40 centimeter. 1 unit is equal to 40, right? And we divide it by 5, and this will give us 8 centimeter. Okay, so the shortest side in terms of units, okay, so shortest side units is 3. So that means we will go for 3 units, which is equal to 3 times 8, and this will give us 24 centimeter. So 24 centimeter is option number 3. Okay, let's move on to question number 12. Okay, the sum of 4 numbers is 960. One of the numbers is 150. What's the average of the other 3 numbers? Okay, so we know the sum of 4 numbers is, okay, so basically in this case we have a plus b plus c plus d is equal to 960, right? So yeah, then one of the numbers is 50. So let's take a to be 150, right? So that means b plus c plus d is equal to 960, right? Minus 150, and this will give us 960 minus 150. This will give us 810 in this case over here, right? Okay, then what's the average, right? So total amount of numbers is equal to 3. Then total of 3 numbers, 3 other numbers is equal to 810. So average is equal to uh, amount total amount of numbers divided by, okay, divide by total of 3 other numbers. In this case it's very long. Okay, and what would this give us? Basically, oh no, total of 3. Okay, 8. I'm going to put this 8 then divided by 3. Okay, so in this case this should give you 270. Okay, so if I were to do the working for this 810, so 810, and then we have the line, then we divide by 3. So actually we don't need 81, so divide by 3. Okay, so we can just double confirm this. All right, so in this case we can minus 6, right? 8 minus 6, so this should be 2. Okay, and this will give us 21, right? So then we can minus 21. So 21 is 7 times 3, so this is 27. Then this will give us 0 over here. Okay, and there you go. That's the answer to this question. So the answer to this is 270. So option number 3. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Question number 13. In the figure, CEF is an isosceles triangle, same sides, and DEF is a straight line. So in this case over here, I'm gonna draw a line to say DEF is a straight line. In this case over here. All right. So what we want to do is we want to find this, right? in this case is FCE. Okay, so how do we do that? So we know these two angles, right? So we can actually get this angle, right? DEC, right? So for this right angle, black, DEC is equal to 180 minus 38 minus 25. Okay, so DEC is this, right? So 38 plus 25 is 180 minus 63 in this case. Okay, so 180 minus 63, this will give us 117. Okay, so now we know that DEC over here, let me have this pen. DEC over here is 17 degrees, right over here. Okay, 117. Okay, so then if you are able to get this, then we are able to get another angle, which is CEF. So this will be CEF, which is 180 minus 17. Okay, so I think you know the answer to this. It should be 63, right? So in this case, this will be 63 degrees. All right, so now we know CEF is 63. All right, so I'm gonna draw another one, maybe blue. So this is 63. If it's an isosceles triangle, this is also 63. In this case over here. Okay, let me rotate. Okay, 63 degrees. Right, so that means CFE angle CFE is also 63 degrees. So CFE. Okay, 63 degrees. So with that said, I'm gonna put it here. Say so for angle FCE is equal to 180 minus 63 minus 63. Okay, and what would this give us? So 63 plus 63, this will give us 126. So then 180 minus 126 is 54, and then degrees. All right, so the answer to this question is option number 1. Okay, always double check using your workings, right? Okay, let's move on to question number 14. Right, so Marcus had $120. He spent $24. How much of his money did he spend? Okay, so in this case it will just be 24 out of 100. Okay, and then we multiply by 100%. 120, right? Okay, so we multiply by 100%. Okay, right, so 24 out of 120, we can simplify this, right? So in a way, let me get 24 out of 120. Can we divide it by 24? Right, so I think we can. So if we were to do our workings, right, 120, and then we have 24, right? So this line and this line. Okay, so we have 24. That's what we see over here. So if you can guess, okay, easier, right? 24 and then multiply by 5. Okay, the answer is actually 5. Okay, so yeah, you can simplify a lot lah, right? So okay lah, I think let's do that, right? I already know the answer to this, so why not we just simplify it so it's easier. Okay, so 24 out of 120, right? This, okay, is equal to, right? So we can divide this by 2. Okay, so let's do step by step, right? Divide this by 2, simple, right? Or divide this by 4 actually, right? For both cases. Okay, divide by 4, divide by 4. Okay, and what will this give us? I want my brackets. Yes, my brackets. Okay. And what would this give us? This will give us 24 divided by 4 is 6. 120 divided by 4 is 30. Okay, so let me center this. Right, 6 out of 30. We can simplify this even more, right? So we can divide by what number? Okay, so we can actually divide by 6. That's why we can divide by 4. I mean 24, right? And what would this give us? Okay, this will give us 6 divided by 6 is 1 out of 5. That's it. So we have the simplest form. So in this case, right, 1 out of 5, then we multiply by 100%, and this will give us 20%. Okay, that's it. So the answer to this is number 1 over here. All right, let's move on to question number 15. So the figure has 9 unique cubes which are glued together to form a solid, and the solid including a base is then painted red. So we just paint everything red. How many of the 9 cubes have exactly 4 of their faces painted red? So we know that one face of a cube, one cube has 6 faces. So if you want 4 painted, then yeah lah, then that means 2 of the faces are not what do you call this, shown. Okay, so in this case, let's find out how many cubes are not shown. So we know number 1 over here is shown, so we have tick over here. Okay, because the back and the bottom itself is not shown, so this is 1. Okay, what about this one? This one, no. This one is 3 sides, right? 1 the top, 2 at the back, and 3 at the side. So in this case, this is a no. Okay, what about this one? So this one, it has 2 sides that's only, or 4 sides that is shown. Okay, so that means this is correct. Okay, so next one, this one, right? So anything that is covered like this at the back probably don't have. Okay, so for this, sadly, 5 faces are shown because only the bottom is, what they call this, is show. Yeah, only the bottom is covered, so cancel this. What about this one? So this one at the back is being shown, and but the sides on the left and the bottom is not shown, so that is correct in this case over here. Okay, so what about this one? Okay, so for this one, no, because we only have one side that is stuck. Okay, so that means for this case, this is not shown as well. Okay, so total 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's 3 more that we need to decide whether 4 sides are being shown. So I'm going to show you the back part of the figure as well. So all together we have 1, 2, 3, and then at the back we have 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So at the back itself, right, if I were to zoom it in, you can see that for the bottom one, there's only 2 sides, so no as well. So at the corner we only have 3, which is also no. And then for the right side, which is also no, because only 2 are painted. So in this case, it's only 3 because we have 1, 2, then 3 and 4. For this corner over here is 1, 2, 3. This corner 1, 2, 3, not really. And then after that, for this one in the middle over here, we have 1, 2, then 3 and 4. Correct. So this one, no, because there's 5. And at the top is also 5. So the answer to question 15 is 3 in this case over here. All right.